Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for No Business is Too Small for a CRM System. I promise to only keep you for under 30 minutes because I know that you're working in a business that is really fast-paced and you don't have time to be sitting around on webinars. So we're going to get started right now. We're recording this, and everybody who has joined us today or registered for this webinar will receive a copy of the recording. So if you forget anything, you will get the recording, and you will also get access to my email address. You can reach out to me and let me know if you have any questions once this presentation is over. So today we are going to talk about quite a few things that are going to be interesting for you if you're considering a CRM system. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what is a CRM system? A CRM system is called customer relationship management or client relationship management. And this system you can think of at its very most basic level as a data management system for your organization. So this is a place where you can store information about your leads, your contacts, accounts, opportunities, and ways that you can be interacting with your customer that go even beyond just the initial sales. So we're going to discuss some considerations that you should take into account when you're evaluating a CRM system for your business, some tips that will help you to get ready to get the most out of your implementation, as that's a really crucial time, and then how centralized data will help you to make the best decisions for your company's future. Whether you are a company of one or a company of 1,000, a CRM system can make loads of difference to your organization. Congratulations to you for being here and for deciding to join this and learn some more information about CRM. I am Shannon Gregg. I'm the president of Cloud Adoption Solutions, which helps people to understand their CRM systems from start to, well, we never really finish. So we work with companies of all sizes, but particularly in the small to medium business space that are evaluating how to best use CRM, how to use customer data to make data-driven decisions, and how to tie that CRM to other systems that are important for their growing and scaling businesses. So I'm going to share with you a few stories today, a few tips, and I hope you learn some things that will help you to understand how to use CRM for your business. So when you're evaluating CRM systems, you probably have started to look on Google to say, what works the best for me? And you'll see some CRM systems that are giant, some that are just really well known, Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics. You'll see some that are falling into the mid-enterprise space like Zoho, Sugar CRM, and then you'll see industry-specific CRM systems. I have heard of CRM systems or worked with ones that are specific, for example, to cemetery plots or specific to the media buy industry. And so people have a tendency to get overwhelmed and they will say, what should I do when I'm evaluating a CRM system? Should I buy one that will definitely not get me fired? If you remember that commercial from the 80s that said nobody gets fired for choosing IBM. So you know these ones will last. You know that they'll be around. You know that they have a really wide customer base, but it might feel overwhelming to you. Or should I use one that's already been customized for my industry, that takes into account the conditions that we have, the parameters that we have, the particular types of customers that we have? And these are all really good questions. The three things I really want you to think about when you're evaluating CRM systems for your business are: 1, centralization; 2, scalability; and 3, ease of use and implementation. So the centralization thing is very important because I want you to think right now about the number of systems that you use in your business. What type of email do you use? What type of, if you're using CRM, do you use that? Are you using Google Docs? Do you have a server? Are you using Slack for communication and collaboration? Do you have a financial records system? Do you have a project management system? How many passwords do you need to change every 90 days? It's probably a lot, right? So when you're looking at all those different systems that you have that can be disparate, CRM is a great place to be like the heart of the body of your business. So if you use your CRM system as a centralized source of truth, as a place where anyone in any aspect of your business can go to find out What is this customer like? What were their needs when we first started talking to them? How have we serviced them since then? Will they renew? What are the dates? How much are they paying us? CRM is a great place to sit in the middle of all of the things that you're trying to figure out about your business. So you'll see that a lot of CRM systems have what they call open APIs. And an API, I just want you to think about, don't worry about the technology of it, but think about it as a door. So will that API door open to allow your other systems to come in so that you can tie them together with a tunnel? That is ideal for your business, particularly when you're in a business where every minute matters, which I imagine is everybody that's joined us today. So if that CRM system has the ability to centralize, has those open APIs, can give you that door to see inside of your other systems, and in best in breed can offer single sign-on, that is going to be a really good thing for you. Because as you're thinking about being productive in your small business, the more efficient and effective you can be at the same time, the more business you're going to get done, the more customers you can acquire, the more customers you can delight, and the better you can stick to your mission. So look for centralization. The next thing I want you to think about is scalability. So will this CRM system grow with you? So there are some CRM systems that are intended for very small organizations, but my guess is you don't want to stay small, right? You want to be able to help the number of people that you can, and you want your CRM system to grow with you. So as you're looking at that, think about the way that your company might grow. Look at your 5 to 7 year strategic plan and consider whether your CRM fits into that. So as you're choosing one, don't choose one for the now, choose one that will also address your future needs. Are you going to be adding 5 salespeople? Are they going to be able to get the visibility that they need? Are you going to be able to dedicate roles and profiles so that they can only see the things that they need to see? These are things I want you to think about right now as you're choosing your CRM system. And then the third one, as you're evaluating, is think about ease of use and implementation. So a lot of people are looking at systems that are great, but they're hard to learn and they're really challenging to implement. So here I want you to step back and think about your users. Are your sales team going to be able to use this in a mobile way? Because most sales teams don't sit still. Are your finance team going to be able to access and understand what it is they need out of the system, because they're probably only looking at it once a month? So when you're using the system, is the user interface quick and easy to use, or does it require 3 weeks of training to understand? So think about that when you're doing your evaluation. And the next one is the implementation. How hard is it to implement? How challenging will it be for you to sit down as the person who's chosen the CRM system to say, hey, we're going to have to do so much custom work before we can get this ready to go that it's going to take me out of commission for a month and a half or 90 days. Nobody wants that. So you may hear while you're evaluating systems, this is highly customizable. That's cool for your scalability, but you also have to think, can we launch this today? Is this something that we can do today? And so you'll see there's lots of CRM systems and platforms that have varieties that you can choose. You can choose different packages. So Salesforce is one that comes to mind. The Salesforce Essentials package is meant for a small business. You can turn the key and start using it today without doing lots of customization, but you can upgrade your package in the future so that it will scale with you. So think about that implementation aspect for your own sanity. The next thing that we're going to talk about are tips so that you can get the most out of your implementation. So a lot of times people will buy technology systems, they'll watch the demo, and the salespeople do it. They're so slick. They'll show it to you and you think, yes, that is the magic silver bullet that I need. It will really help my business just take off from the minute that I turn it on. Well, you need to do a little work before you do that, because if you don't, you're going to be wasting implementation time and probably dollars. So think about where the beef is. So where's the data sitting right now? Is it in Excel spreadsheets? Is it sitting in Google Docs? Is it in paper files sitting on people's desks? Think about where the data is and how you can collect it and bring it into one single place before you try to put it into your CRM system. A lot of CRM systems have data uploaders where you can take your file and just pull it right in. And when you think about Excel spreadsheets and they have the headers that are running horizontally across the top, those category headers like name, email address, phone number, those are going to become fields in your CRM system. So once you can get the data into one centralized place, you will be able to upload it into your system and start using it right away. So make sure that you're doing that quickly. Otherwise, people will have really stuttered starts and they'll have a hard time convincing themselves that they really want to use the system. The next thing to think about is, who are your stakeholders? So think about who is going to be affected by the data that you're putting into this client relationship database. Is it people in operations, project management, executive management, your board of directors, finance? Think about who those people are and start to interview them before you implement your CRM system. So ask them, what do you want to get out of it? How can this be helpful to you? What type of information have you seen in CRM systems in your past jobs that you'd love to see at this small business? And if you're a company of just one, put yourself in those different places. So put your different hats on and say, as the manager of this company, as the person who's doing the finances for this company, what information do I need so you can get it ready to go before you start implementing? And then the last thing I want to tell you that is a really good tip is make sure you prep for your prep. So as you're getting ready to do this implementation, as you've looked at all of the different systems that are available to you, really start to think about what you'll need before you go into that implementation phase. And the phrase I always try to remember is, begin with the end in mind. What outcome are you looking for? What type of data-driven decision-making are you going to try to use once you have the system implemented? And then that will tell you exactly what you need before you get it implemented. So think about those things. Those are going to help you to understand what it is that you need to do before you sit down and start to do the dirty data work that you're going to do. We see so many instances of dirty data. We recently have done an implementation where a company had one Excel spreadsheet, one Google Doc, one Word doc that somebody else was keeping on their local drive. And when you start to pull those together, you see data that not only is duplicated, but is also not running across in the same way. So you might have one Shannon Gregg and she has one phone number in one instance and another phone number in another instance. Get that data together and figure out which one is the phone number we actually want to keep, or do we need a second field that says mobile phone 2? That will help you to understand exactly where you want your data to be so that you can start driving this new system from the day that you put it in. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about centralized data, because as you're looking at buying CRM systems, you're going to look at that capital outlay and say, wow, it feels so expensive to launch a new CRM system for my small business. But I want you to think about a couple of things. One is opportunity cost. So what are you spending your time doing right now that could be automated? What are you spending your time doing right now that a system could do for you? Or where are you digging back through emails, documents, Post-it notes, carrier pigeons, trying to find the information that you need to currently delight a customer or convert a prospect or renew somebody's already existing product or service with your business? I want you to think about that as you're thinking about the capital outlay of your CRM system. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about how centralized data is going to help you to make the best decisions for your company's future. So one of the things that I love the best about CRM systems is the ability to go back and do queries. So I could say, let's say I have 3 salespeople working for me. If salesperson A is making 100 phone calls, setting 10 meetings, and then winning 1 piece of business out of that, I can tell you right away, they've got some challenges in making conversion from initial phone call to meeting. Salesperson B is having 100 phone calls and they're getting 30 meetings out of it, but they're also only closing 1 piece of business. They're having a really hard time overcoming objections and converting people from meetings into closed business. So it's going to help you to coach anybody who's working for you or your own self. You'll be able to see your blind spots based on the data that it's giving you. So that gives you the here and now that tells you, here's how I can improve my business and its operations right now today. However, you could also use that data once it's all in one place to make really good decisions for your company's future. So operational resource planning is one of my favorites. Let's say you have a 12-month sales cycle, and then you have a 6-month implementation cycle for your product or your service. Well, as you're moving people along the sales cycle, you know that 6 months after you sell it, they're going to implement. Let's say that you sell 7 deals right now today. In 6 months, you're going to need way more people working for you because you're going to need that much staff to implement everything that you sold. Instead of running behind the 8 ball and saying, we don't have enough people to service our customers, your data inside of your CRM is going to signal to you, this is how many operational resources we need to fulfill everything that we've sold, which is really helpful for you to determine what your company needs to look like in the future. No more thinking, it just feels busy. Emotionally, my people are overwhelmed. They're working 80 hours a week. I better hire somebody now, which takes a month to interview, 2 weeks for them to give a notification at their job, 6 weeks for you to train them. So by the time your people are already dead and you decide to hire somebody, you're now like 6 months out. So there's no relief. So operational resource planning is a really big benefit of being able to use the data that's housed in your CRM system to know before you need to bleed out. The next one, very similar, but it's for finance and revenue planning. So if you're a funded startup or you're a company that's a subsidiary and you have to report out to a board, people are looking to you to say, yes, we might have had a soft first quarter, but we know third quarter is going to be really strong, and here's why. We're getting indications from our pipeline, and we can show you the data because it's right here in our CRM system, that our third quarter is going to start to get bigger and even better. So you can use that to go out for grants if you're a nonprofit, or to get additional funding if you're in the venture capital space. And if you're looking to sell your company, if you're looking to position yourself for acquisition, you can use this to signal our market is really strong. Our market might be soft now, but we know it's cyclical. Every summer, this is where the business dies off. It will give you those trends to be able to say, we know financially the risks we can take, and we know revenue-wise exactly where our company is going to go. And the third one, super important, is growth and scalability. So a lot of people, as they start to feel their businesses grow and they start to see all of the fruits of their labor pay off, they start to think about, do we hire more salespeople? Do we hire more delivery people? Where are we going to put these people? And sometimes you can say, I know by putting 3 more feet on the street, we're going to get more sales. Your CRM system is capable for you to use it to say, I now know what decisions I can make. I now know exactly what type of data I can use to justify that, and I can see how our company's growing. So instead of going back through those green ledger books or your Excel spreadsheets where there is really, really good chance of human error, you can go back through your system and say, our projections look this way, and we can validate that with data from historical performance. So you can position yourself to say, we know our company's going to grow, we know our company's scalable, and particularly if you're looking to hire new people or you're looking to be acquired, you can justify all of that by the data that you have inside of your system. I will tell you from a lot of my work with venture capital and private equity firms, they love to see data, and they will come back and ask you for reports that you haven't even thought to put together. And it's so much better to be able to push a little button and say, let me pull this report up from my CRM system, than it is to go back and try to equate it out of Excel spreadsheets. I have a resource for you that you can use. It is at cloudadoption.solutions/ebook. This is a really good resource for you to be able to say, once I've chosen my CRM system, how do I get my people to buy into it? How do I get them to believe in it? How do I get them to use it? We didn't address that today, but I've got lots of tips in there that I invite you to download and use. I have the ability to take a few questions so that you can ask me any questions that you have based on the presentation that we just had. I will put it out there and see what questions you have. Great. All right. I've got a question here that is asking, how do I know exactly which CRM system I should use based on my industry? Really good question. You have two choices here. One is for you to say, I understand in my current industry, there is a CRM system that is dedicated specifically to this industry. So you can go with an industry-based, industry-specific CRM, which is really helpful for you during implementation time. It probably has the fields that you already need in it based on whether you're B2C, B2B, focused on construction or manufacturing. They'll already have those words in there. Or you can go with a customizable CRM system that will say, hey, we understand you want to be able to customize this to your own needs. Now, I've seen quite a few that have been specific to the industry. So let's say you are in the financial services industry. It will say in there, how many households, do they own additional assets? What types of things do they like to do? That's really great for you at implementation time because that work's already done. But if you decide to go with a more customizable industry agnostic CRM system, you can add those fields. So as you're evaluating these systems, as you're looking through and trying to determine what exactly is it that I want to do? What exactly is it that I want my CRM to tell me? What signals do I want? Take notes. So if you're looking at industry specific and you see some fields in there that you really like, if you're construction, do they have a partner? Are they a GC? You can add those to your customizable CRM. So that will help you to identify, do I want something that's industry specific or do I want something I have to customize myself? And it's all about implementation time. So that's where that is. I've got another question in here. Oh, this is from Joe. Hey, Joe. So the question here is, once I start using a CRM system, what if I change my mind and want to use another one? And that is a really great question. So when you're evaluating vendors and you're doing your kind of vendor connects, one of the questions you should ask them is, who owns my data and what happens to my data once I decide to take it out of the CRM system? So there are some where once you're done with a system, you decide to move on, you can export everything that you have inside of there onto an Excel spreadsheet and re-upload it to another system during their data import process. So definitely ask that question. I think that's something that's important for you to ask. The other thing that I would recommend to you, because we're in such an innovative time right now, we're in the fourth industrial revolution, while people are looking at digital transformations, think about how long that company's been around and what happens if they go offline. So there are loads of systems that are coming up that are specific to very tangible but tiny industries. And I think it's good for you to ask, how long have you been around? If you're doing a formal RFI or RFP process, add this question: how long have you been around? What does your funding in your future look like? Because the thing you really don't want to do is invest your time and money into a CRM system that is going to go offline because they aren't funded, don't have enough customers, and just decided to close down, and then you miss out on all of that data. Okay, I have a good question from Jill. This is great. What about mobile applications? Let's talk about this. Add this to your list. When you're considering buying a CRM system, do they have a mobile application? Chances are really good in 2019 that some of your work is going to be done virtually. Your salespeople are going to be visiting clients where they're at. You're going to be at trade shows. And when you're at those places, the thing you don't want to do is write down things on a bunch of little Post-it notes or on the back of business cards that you then have to take back to the office and enter, because it never gets done, right? So I want you to look at that and say, what is your mobile strategy? Do you have an app? And it's important for you to know if the app is native or if it's something that's been developed based on their website. So you can ask how often they have releases. That is really important to know. So do they do bug fixes that are constantly happening in your App Store or your Google Play Store that you have to update yourself? Or do they have scheduled releases that happen 4 times a year so you can know exactly what's going to be new and interesting for you to use based on their release schedule? I have, here's a good question. This question is about email. So in a lot of your CRM systems, you will have the ability to either have a BCC email string that will say whatever the CRM system address is with like 3,000 numbers after it. And you can BCC that and it will auto log it into your CRM system for you, which is amazing. Some of the bigger CRM systems actually will integrate with your Microsoft Outlook or your Gmail email. And so you can click send with CRM. So it will automatically associate it with that account, that email address, that opportunity, whatever you've got going on. That will cut back time in your day. And that goes back to that initial point about growth and scalability, where we think about your future. And although you may have somebody sitting in a sales role right now, maybe 3 years from now, that person's moved on from your company or they've moved into a different part of your company. And so you can use all of the notes that they've entered in there to go back and say, what is our history with this customer? And when this customer comes back and says, I was promised a renewal rate of this, you can find that information back in your system and you can read back through the emails. So add that to your list too when you're evaluating CRM systems to say, what is the ability for us to connect via email all of our CRM information? So I want to thank you all so much for joining me today on the quick overview of your CRM systems. Remember, if you're a company of one, CRM will keep you organized and allow you to do more things with your business, which means more revenue and more delighted customers, which is why we're all in business, right? Please feel free to reach out to me, Shannon at cloudadoption.solutions. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about evaluating, choosing, and implementing a CRM system based on some ones that I've seen that have been remarkable and some that I've seen that have been very challenging. Thank you again so much for joining me and have an excellent day.